The sky burned red with sunset, but the silence below was broken by sudden chaos. The forest shuddered as wings erupted from the trees, scattering in panic. Daniel whispered, "Something hunts in the shadows." His voice trembled against the stillness. From the thickets, a sharp cry tore through the air, the gasp of prey caught unprepared. A doe stumbled, breath ragged, eyes wide with terror, before vanishing into the tangle of brush. The ground pulsed with unseen feet, predators advancing with ruthless precision. Lara said, "It's too close, closer than we thought." Her words dissolved into the rising wind that carried the scent of death. The horizon blazed crimson, but beneath its beauty lurked a truth. The wild was merciless, and survival tonight would be bought with blood. Night pressed in fast, swallowing the forest whole. Daniel whispered, "We shouldn't be here." His breath turned shallow as insects fell silent, the quiet too heavy. Lara leaned close, her eyes sharp with fear. "It's not the forest," she said. "It's them." The trees seemed to listen, their branches groaning in the rising wind. The crack of a twig pierced the silence, followed by a shuffle too deliberate to be an animal. Daniel felt the weight of unseen eyes. He wanted to move, but his legs rooted in dread. Lara's hand tightened on the radio as though the plastic could anchor her against the growing void. In the distance, faint metallic clinks echoed, unnatural, sharp, and final. Poachers were near, moving where shadows hid their crimes, and the forest itself seemed to recoil. The ground trembled faintly as something passed nearby, unseen but close. Daniel muttered, "That's not the wind." His voice cracked against the quiet. Lara held her breath, her gaze locked on a glint between trees. For a heartbeat, the world froze. Then the forest floor erupted with the sound of hooves. The doe shot past, frantic and wild, eyes white with terror, vanishing into the dark. Daniel's chest heaved. "It's being driven," he whispered. Lara lowered her head, listening. The sound of footsteps followed, steady, coordinated, human. Metal scraped again, echoing. The chase was not nature's design, it was man's intrusion. The realization hung like a noose in the air. Nature fought for survival, but poachers bent the rules, turning wilderness into their theater of death. Lara hissed, "They're hurting them." The truth sliced deeper than fear. Daniel's jaw clenched as he scanned the shadows. The forest groaned again, branches snapping far ahead, the sound rhythmic, coordinated. Poachers weren't stalking, they were surrounding. Lara's voice dropped lower. "They know this ground. They've done this before." Daniel's fingers trembled around his knife, his body taut like a spring. The predators were silent now, replaced by men who hunted with purpose. From beyond the tree line, a faint orange glow bled upward, fire, small and controlled, meant to corral life into the open. Daniel whispered, "The forest burns quietly tonight." His words carried no poetry, only warning. In the stillness, survival hung not on strength, but on silence. The forest went still again. Unnaturally still. Daniel exhaled slowly, chest rising and falling like a hunted beast's. Lara pressed her radio against her lips but never spoke. "If we move, they'll hear," Daniel whispered. His words barely stirred the air. From the distance, the night answered with silence, a silence that roared louder than sound. The orange glow flickered once, then disappeared, swallowed by darkness. Smoke lingered faint, a ghost in the canopy. Lara's hand trembled as she gripped Daniel's arm. "It's begun," she breathed. The sky above still burned faintly red, refusing to surrender fully tonight, but below, the ground shifted with men who erased balance. Nature paused, waiting for its verdict. The first act had ended, but the cost was only beginning. Dawn crept slowly, bleeding pale light into the shattered silence. Daniel knelt by the riverbank, hands submerged in cold water, watching ripples scatter like broken promises. He whispered, "This land carries scars." Lara crouched beside him, eyes tracing the tree line, searching for what could no longer be trusted. Across the clearing, The calf stumbled after its mother, frail legs trembling beneath its weight. Daniel's chest tightened at the sight. "That one won't last," he muttered, sorrow in every syllable. Lara shook her head. "It has to." The air was heavy with damp earth and the faint smell of smoke lingering from the night. Around them the forest stirred cautiously as though afraid to wake. For Daniel and Lara, the calf was not just another creature. It was the fragile heart of everything they had come to protect. The calf staggered again, its fragile frame quivering with every step. Daniel whispered, "It's barely holding on." Lara pressed her lips tight, watching the mother nudge gently, urging it forward. The tenderness cracked the silence like a wound in stone. Daniel's fingers curled into fists. Every step is a battle. The forest felt alive yet cautious, branches dripping from the night's dew, shadows still clinging beneath leaves. A crow cawed sharply, its echo rolling across the clearing like a warning. Lara lowered her gaze, her voice soft. "This is why we fight. Not for numbers, for this." Daniel nodded, though his eyes carried the weight of inevitability. The calf's innocence magnified every danger waiting in the dark, and with each stumble, the forest seemed to lean closer, whispering of loss before life had even begun. The calf slipped in the mud, legs folding beneath it, and a soft cry broke free. Daniel lurched forward but froze, knowing his presence would shatter the fragile bond. Lara whispered, "Let her teach it." Her eyes stayed fixed on the mother, nudging, urging, guiding. The calf trembled, fought, then rose again, its small body shaking but defiant. Daniel exhaled slowly, whispering, "It wants to live." The forest listened. Every rustle, every cry felt like threads tying their hearts to the creature. Lara's voice wavered. "If they come tonight, it won't stand a chance." Daniel closed his eyes briefly, the truth like a blade. The innocent was the anchor of their struggle, not just survival of a species, but survival of meaning in a world where cruelty often ruled. The sun climbed higher, yet the forest did not warm. A chill clung stubbornly to the shadows. Daniel scanned the tree line, unease coiling in his gut. "It's too quiet," he said. Lara adjusted the strap of her radio, her gaze never leaving the calf. "They're watching, I can feel it." The calf's fragile persistence had tethered them, made the cost of failure unbearable. Daniel whispered, "If it falls, everything falls." His words were more than fear. They were prophecy. A branch cracked faintly in the distance, followed by silence too heavy to ignore. Lara's jaw tightened. "They're closer than we think." The calf stumbled forward, oblivious to the predators in men's skin that stalked beyond. Nature's innocence stood center stage, while the shadows rehearsed their cruelty, waiting for the night. Clouds swallowed the sun, dimming the world into muted gray. Daniel crouched low again, eyes locked on the calf wobbling in the clearing. He whispered, "It carries everything on those legs." Lara's breath trembled. "We can't save it if they come." Her words hung like stones. The mother deer pressed against her calf, shielding it, though even her strength seemed brittle. Daniel's voice cracked. "The forest gives no second chances." The weight of inevitability pressed down on them. Survival and loss, balanced on a trembling line. Lara closed her eyes briefly, then opened them sharp. "Then we make our stand." The forest sighed, wind stirring branches in muted warning. Every heartbeat tied them tighter to the innocent, every breath a silent vow that when night returned, they would not look away. The forest trembled with a new rhythm. Predators stirred. Daniel crouched low, ears straining as guttural snarls rolled through the undergrowth. His chest tightened. "They're closing in," he whispered. Lara's gaze swept the clearing, her voice sharp. "Not just them, something more." The calf jerked its head, trembling against its mother's flank. Daniel's hand found his knife, but the truth was bitter. Claws and fangs belonged to the wild, but rifles belonged to men. The sound of padded feet circled in the dark, the kind of patience only hunger could fuel. Lara muttered, "We're caught between two worlds." Forest was no ally now. It was a battlefield. Nature itself pressed harder, predators driving from one side, poachers from the other. The innocent had nowhere left to run. Dark clouds rolled above, smothering what little light remained. Hunger stalked the air, thick and heavy. Daniel whispered, "They're starving." He knew the sound, predators desperate enough to risk everything. Lara steadied her breath, her eyes sharp. "So are the men." The words cut like knives. Branches cracked, closer now. The calf stumbled, a soft cry escaping as if summoning its fate. Daniel pressed a finger to his lips, urging silence. The mother deer lowered her head, nostrils flaring, body trembling, but ready. Lara's hands gripped her binoculars so hard they left red marks on her skin. Around them, the forest tightened its circle, pressing life and death together. Every heartbeat echoed louder, announcing the inevitable clash between hunger, greed, and fragile innocence. A shadow broke free. Not predator but rival. A young stag stepped from the brush, muscles coiled, eyes fixed on the mother and calf. Daniel hissed, "A rival. It wants the ground." Lara's breath caught. The stag's posture was clear, not hunger, but challenge. The mother raised her head, torn between defending her calf and fighting for territory. The calf pressed low, trembling. Lara whispered, "This isn't a hunt, it's survival fighting itself." Daniel's grip on his knife faltered. This was not his battle to stop. The clash was inevitable. Antlers scraped bark as the stag pawed earth, preparing. Nature had no mercy, even in the face of greater threats. Rivalry demanded blood. The calf's fragile life hung in the balance of a fight it could never win. The clash erupted. Antlers slammed with violent force, the sound echoing like broken branches. Daniel flinched, whispering, "It'll kill her." Lara's voice cracked. "She has no choice." The calf cried, small and desperate, as the mother strained against the rival's strength. Earth flew beneath their hooves, bodies twisting in brutal struggle. The rival's eyes blazed with merciless intent. Daniel's heart pounded, torn between instinct and helplessness. Lara gripped his arm. If she falls, the calf is gone. The forest roared with the chaos of survival, no predator needed. Shadows of poachers shifted further back, the clash masking their approach. Nature fought its own war, unaware of the greater hand waiting in the dark. The calf's innocence quivered on the razor's edge between protection and ruin. The rival staggered, blood on its flank, yet still pressed forward with brutal force. The mother faltered, legs trembling, but refused to yield. The calf shrieked, fear piercing the night. Daniel whispered, "This is the end." Lara's hand shook against his arm. "Not yet," she said, though her voice trembled. The clash thundered louder, drowning the forest in chaos. Then, silence, broken by metallic clinks, deliberate and cruel. Daniel froze, realizing the truth. They're here. The poachers had waited, letting the clash drain strength, stepping in only when victory was theirs to steal. The forest had no shield left. Nature fought its wars, but man rewrote the rules. The red glow of a hidden fire flickered again, and the calf's terrified eyes mirrored the doom crawling closer. The clash faltered, and silence fell heavy. The rival stag backed into shadows, blood trailing faint against the dirt. The mother stood weak, but unbroken, sides heaving with exhaustion. Daniel whispered, "She survived." Lara's voice was low, shaken. Not for long. From the dark, snarls echoed again, predators drawn by the blood, not men. A wolf slinked forward, lean and scarred, eyes blazing with hunger. But then it paused, lowering its head. A second shape emerged, smaller, trembling. Lara gasped. A pup. Daniel's jaw tightened. She's hunting for him. The revelation struck like lightning. The predator was also apparent, its hunger tangled with survival's demand. The lines blurred, cruelty and love twisting together. The forest whispered its truth. No side was innocent, only desperate. The pup whimpered, fragile cries echoing into the clearing. Daniel exhaled slowly, the sound shaky. "She's not the monster." Lara's voice broke. "She's the same as the mother." The wolf pressed forward, teeth bared, not out of malice but necessity. Hunger cut deeper than cruelty. The calf staggered, eyes wide, sensing doom from both sides. Daniel whispered, "This is survival against survival." The revelation hollowed him, predator and prey bound by the same desperate need. The air carried no judgment, only inevitability. Lara tightened her grip on her radio, voice trembling. "We can't stop nature, but we can stop men." Her words cut through the silence. The wolf snarled low, but its eyes betrayed fear as much as hunger. The hidden truth lingered: nature was not cruel. It was absolute. The wolf circled, gaze never leaving the mother deer. The pup followed clumsily, its small paws sinking into soft mud. Daniel whispered, "She's teaching it. How to fight, how to endure." Lara's throat tightened. The calf, it's no different. Both born into battles they can't choose. The forest pulsed with strange harmony, predator and prey bound by mirrored fragility. Daniel's hand slackened on his knife, the fight bleeding out of him. "We don't belong here," he muttered. Lara's eyes flicked toward the tree line. "But they do," she said, "and the poachers know it." Beyond the clearing, faint metallic clicks returned, a cruel rhythm that did not care for balance or bloodlines. The mentor of instinct whispered through the scene. Survival was not about fairness. It was about legacy. A sudden flare lit the night. Fire ignited in the brush, flames licking upward with calculated intent. Lara gasped. "They're flushing them." Daniel cursed under his breath, gripping his knife tighter. The poacher's cruelty wasn't hunger or rivalry. It was greed. Smoke curled low, choking the clearing. The wolf growled, pushing the pup back into shadow. The mother deer turned, eyes wide, blocking her calf. Daniel's heart thundered. "They're caught between fire and steel." Lara whispered, fury burning. "This is no hunt, it's slaughter." The hidden truth stood undeniable. Nature's cruelty had meaning, but man's had none. The fire roared louder, shadows stretched long, and the poachers' shapes grew clearer. The fight for survival had shifted, from animal against animal to everything against man. The forest crackled with firelight, smoke choking the air. Daniel whispered, "This isn't their war anymore. It's ours." Lara's hands shook, but her voice was steel. "Then we fight with them." The mother deer pressed her body against the calf, trembling but unbroken. The wolf snarled, standing shield over its pup. For a heartbeat, prey and predator shared the same ground, united against a greater enemy. Daniel's chest burned as realization tore through him. Survival was not division but defiance. Lara whispered, "The forest stands together tonight." The flames roared higher, metal gleamed in shadows, and the poachers stepped forward. The hidden truth echoed in every trembling breath. Nature's balance may falter, but when man intrudes, even enemies become allies in the war for survival. The fire spread fast, flames hissing through dry brush, turning the clearing into a cage. Daniel shouted, "Run!" His voice cracked under the roar. Lara pulled at his arm, but his eyes locked on the calf and pup, both frozen by terror. The mother deer bolted, her calf stumbling close behind. The wolf snarled, snapping at smoke, then nudged her pup forward into the dark. Daniel's breath heaved. "They're driving them into open ground." Lara's jaw clenched. "That's where they'll kill them." The fire cast long shadows, blinding and merciless. Predators, prey, and people collided in chaos, each step desperate to escape. The forest screamed, branches crashing down, sparks bursting upward. For one heartbeat, Daniel knew. This was not a hunt, it was war. The clearing erupted in motion. The rival stag reappeared, charging with reckless force, antlers lowered, desperate to claim ground even in chaos. Daniel cursed. "Not now." Lara's eyes widened, horror burning. The mother deer wheeled, antlers clashing again with deafening cracks. Sparks showered from burning branches, smoke choking every breath. The calf tripped, collapsing hard, legs thrashing helplessly. Daniel lurched forward, but Lara grabbed his shoulder. "If you go now, you'll die with them." His chest heaved, torn between instinct and reason. The rival pressed harder, blood streaming down its flank, unwilling to yield. Predator, prey, and fire blurred into one storm. Survival demanded sacrifice, and the stag's fury threatened to tear apart what little chance remained. The fight reached breaking point. Ow. The rival's antlers drove deep, blood spraying as the mother staggered. Daniel's chest collapsed inward. "She's finished." Lara's voice cracked. "She won't stop." With a final heave, the mother shoved the rival aside, shielding her calf with her body. The rival stumbled back, but the mother collapsed, sides heaving, eyes dimming. The calf pressed against her, trembling. Daniel whispered, "She gave everything." Lara's fists clenched, fury trembling through her frame. "This is the sacrifice," she said, her voice breaking. Smoke swirled, fire roared, and the poacher's shadows lengthened through the haze. The fallen protector lay still, her legacy written not in victory but in blood. The calf's cries cut through the forest, fragile yet defiant, a vow to endure. The forest shook with footsteps not born of hooves or paws. Poachers stepped into firelight, rifles glinting, faces cold and empty. Daniel rose, knife in hand, body trembling but unyielding. Lara stood beside him, voice steel. "We stop them here." The wolf snarled, placing herself before her pup, teeth bared against steel. Calf shivered, mother's blood still warm beneath it. Daniel's breath tore from his chest. "This is the line." The poachers raised their rifles, shadows tall against the flames. For one moment, predator and prey stood united, defiance woven through trembling bodies. The forest itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting for blood to fall. In that stillness, the fate of life and balance teetered on the knife's edge. The rifles cracked, thunder rolling through fire and smoke. Daniel lunged, knife flashing, rage in every motion. Lara shouted, voice drowned in chaos, her radio clattering to the ground. The wolf leapt forward, teeth flashing, her pup hidden in shadows. The calf stumbled, bolting blindly through the smoke. Bullets tore into trees, sparks exploding. Daniel cried out, knife striking, raw survival against steel. A poacher fell. Another advanced, faces blank, merciless. Lara's scream pierced the firestorm. The forest became a storm of blood, smoke, and fury. Predator and prey fought together not for dominance but for survival itself. As flames devoured the ground, Daniel's voice echoed. "We don't run, we endure." The climax burned, a war written in fire and blood. Smoke drifted like ghosts between the trees, the fire's roar fading into crackling embers. Daniel staggered, knife slick with blood, his chest heaving. Lara knelt beside him, her voice low. "It's over." But the silence said otherwise. The mother deer lay still, her calf pressing against her side, refusing to move. The wolf limped forward, her pup trailing close, eyes wary yet unbroken. Daniel whispered, "The forest has chosen." Clearing bore scars of fire and steel, but the poachers were gone, their shadows swallowed. Lara's gaze swept the devastation. "We didn't win," she murmured. Daniel shook his head. "No one ever does." The forest sighed, leaves whispering as though mourning. What remained was not victory, only survival, carved from ruin. The first light of morning pierced through the haze, painting the clearing in pale gold. Daniel's gaze fixed on the calf, its fragile body swaying but still standing. "It's alive," he whispered. Lara's voice cracked. But for how long? The wolf settled near her pup, eyes locked on Daniel and Lara, not as predator but survivor. In that silence, barriers dissolved. Predator, prey, human. Each bore scars, each carried loss. Daniel pressed a hand to the dirt, voice trembling. "The forest doesn't care who we are. It only demands we endure." Lara nodded, her expression fierce but broken. Around them, the trees stood charred, stripped of leaves, silent witnesses to the cost. The dawn did not heal, it only revealed what was left behind. Daniel rose slowly, legs unsteady, and glanced toward the tree line. He froze, a faint movement slipped back into shadows. "One survived," he whispered. Lara's head snapped up, fury flashing. "They'll come back." The truth struck harder than fire. Forest bore no guarantee, only cycles. Betrayal lingered not from beasts but men, who would return when smoke cleared. Daniel's fists clenched, his body trembling from exhaustion and rage. Lara touched his arm, her voice low but fierce. "We stand as long as they do." The calf raised its head, wide eyes catching light. The pup whimpered softly. Daniel looked from one to the other, his chest tight. The fight wasn't finished. It never would be. The forest carried scars, and so did they. The calf pressed against its mother one last time before stepping away, legs trembling but unbroken. Lara whispered, "She's gone, but it moves on." Daniel's throat tightened. Legacy lives in what survives. The wolf nudged her pup, guiding it into deeper brush, casting one last glance at Daniel and Lara before vanishing into shadow. The clearing felt emptier, yet alive. Daniel sank to one knee, exhaustion overwhelming him. Lara placed a hand on his shoulder, her voice soft but certain. "We've done what we could." The forest answered with silence, broken only by crackling embers. Life had not triumphed, nor had it surrendered. It endured, even in ruin. In that truth Daniel understood. Survival was not victory, it was the weight carried forward. The dawn sharpened, washing the forest in pale light, revealing every scar. Daniel rose slowly, knife hanging useless at his side. "It's never over," he said. Lara stood beside him, eyes fixed on the horizon. "But it's not lost either." The calf disappeared into trees, its fragile body swallowed by shadow. The wolf and pup were gone, leaving only faint tracks in the soot. Daniel's chest rose and fell, heavy with exhaustion but steady. The clearing stood as grave and cradle both, loss and life woven into its soil. Lara whispered, "The forest remembers." Daniel nodded, his voice rough. "So must we." The fire had burned out, but its echo lingered. The resolution was not triumph, it was survival written into silence. The forest lay silent, its breath shallow after the storm. Smoke curled faintly upward, threads dissolving into pale sky. Daniel stood motionless, the weight of ash heavy on his shoulders. Lara whispered, "It feels empty." Her words drifted like echoes in a hollow chamber. The clearing bore no triumph, only loss etched deep into the soil. The calf was gone, the wolf too, yet their shadows lingered in memory. Daniel's jaw tightened, voice low. "Survival leaves graves behind." The forest answered with silence, but within it lay truth. Each scar, each loss, was not an ending but a mark of endurance. Lara's hand brushed Daniel's, not for comfort, but to anchor them both to what remained. The echo of fire, of blood, of cries, clung like smoke that refused to fade. Daniel's gaze swept the tree line, where faint prints led deeper into wilderness. He whispered, "They carry what we cannot." Lara followed his eyes, her voice soft. "They'll survive because they must." The words hung fragile, uncertain, yet unyielding. The forest seemed to lean inward, listening, its silence no longer heavy but solemn. Daniel's chest rose, each breath a reminder of the fight that would never end. Lara pressed her palms against her thighs, grounding herself in the charred earth. "It will scar," she said. "But scars mean it lived." Daniel nodded, eyes distant, his body trembling from exhaustion. The path forward was unseen, but its weight undeniable. Life had not vanished. It had shifted, carrying the mark of fire and steel into the unknown. Ash drifted on the breeze, landing soft against Daniel's hand. He rubbed it between his fingers, whispering, "The forest remembers." Lara closed her eyes, inhaling the faint scent of smoke mixed with damp earth. "And it waits," she said. The echo of rifles still rang in memory, the metallic finality of men who hunted not to live but to take. Daniel's chest tightened, rage flickering beneath exhaustion. Yet, in the silence, he also felt the steady drum of life refusing to surrender. The calf's cry, the pup's whimper, the mother's sacrifice, all lingered like threads binding them to this place. Lara's voice softened. "We're only witnesses." Daniel nodded, voice breaking. "And keepers of scars." The forest stood unflinching, neither forgiving nor cruel, only eternal. From deeper in the forest, silence broke, a faint cry, fragile but piercing. Daniel lifted his head sharply, breath caught. "The calf," he whispered. Lara's eyes widened, hope flickering through grief. "It lives." The sound faded quickly, swallowed by distance, but its echo clung, defiant and fragile. Daniel's chest trembled, words rough. Even one voice changes everything. Lara exhaled shakily, her lips curling into a faint, broken smile. "It's enough." The cry was not victory, nor promise. It was a reminder that survival lingered, even when everything else fell silent. The forest, scarred and blackened, still carried a pulse. In that single cry, both fragile and fierce, lay the truth. Extinction had not yet claimed its prize. The forest settled, smoke lifting as dawn claimed the sky. Daniel stood unmoving, eyes fixed where the calf had vanished. Lara whispered, "It echoes, even when we're gone." Her words rang like a final note. The silence pressed close, heavy yet alive. Daniel lowered his knife, letting it fall into the ash with a dull thud. His voice rasped, "The forest keeps what we can't." They turned, backs to the clearing, stepping into shadowed paths that stretched forever forward. Behind them lay fire, blood, and sacrifice, but also the cry that refused to die. The last image burned, not victory, not peace, but endurance. The echo lingered like smoke, etched into the soul. Nature was not kind, nor cruel. It was eternal,